What's up guys, welcome back. We are in the Assassination Rogue Mage Tower Challenge, and we now have at least one guide for every class in the Midnight Prepatch. You can find the playlist for those guides in the description and pinned comment. Right now is an excellent time to try to get your Felbear, your Soaring Spell Tome Mount, any of the class transmogs, or even your Tower Overwhelming Feat of Strength for doing all 36 challenges. In the Midnight Prepatch, we had a stat and item level squish, though the item level that the Mage Tower scales your gear down to remains at 120. That's totally fine. I think you can comfortably do most of the challenges at like 105 or higher item level. I do have a few unsurprising gearing recommendations, and that's to use your Reishi Wraps from War Within Season 3, use your Disc Belt from War Within Season 2, as well as your Season 3, 2, and 4 set bonuses, which are now 6 and 10% damage increases. And though you will definitely benefit from fully gemming and enchanting your gear, most enchants, gems, and consumables are in the single-digit category. I'm just going to point out the 3 enchants that will make by far the biggest difference after being scaled down in the tower. And that's Crystalline Radiance for your chest. That's 4 or 5 times the value of your next best War Within enchant. And then I would recommend Chant of Leeching Fangs for your cloak and Chant of Armored Leech for your bracers. Those will give you about 12% leech. And then Assassination actually has a leeching poison in the class tree, which will give you another 7%. You'll be at 20% leech in here, and that'll easily cover all the damage that isn't meant to be a one-shot. Before we get started, I'm going to go over the fight mechanics so we know what we're dealing with here. First thing you want to know is that the bosses copy their incoming damage to the other bosses in this fight. This greatly incentivizes you wanting to stack the bosses up and cleave them down together. This is also just great for assassination damage in general, as we can use Fan of Knives to build up our combo points, and that'll be quite a bit faster than just spamming Mutilate on one target. Once you group the bosses up on the pole, you're actually going to see them placing down little fell puddles. They're really just there to hassle you a little bit with movement speed and some damage. Sigryn will just periodically knock you back. It doesn't do a lot of damage, and it's never really timed up with anything that's going to be a big deal, but just something to be aware of. Now the first major mechanic we're going to see is Jarl Velbrand's Empowerment. He grows real big, starts moving real slow, and starts hitting you very hard. There's a couple different ways you can deal with this. First thing you can do is Kidney Shot. At 5 combo points, that's an 8-second stun. Second thing you can do is hit Evasion. Kidney Shot plus Evasion will be enough to cover the entire Berserker Rage. And then of course you can just kite it out a little bit. Sometimes this does overlap with other mechanics. For example, about halfway through the very first Berserker Rage, you're going to get the runes on the ground that you have to stomp out. So you're going to be running away from the bosses anyway. That means a good way to handle it is to not bother with the evasion. Just hit the Kidney Shot, and then by the time that wears off, you're going to be running out to stomp out the runes anyway. The second set of runes that you need to stomp out come very quickly after that first set is done with, and then very shortly after they spawn, you're going to get Sigryn's Blood of the Father. If this cast completes, she'll get like a 30-second long buff that does pretty insane AoE damage. You have a couple options there. You can either blind Sigryn or Kidney Shot her. Blind will always be available to use on Sigryn because of a debuff we get specifically in this scenario called Dusty Pockets, which reduces that cooldown down to 30 seconds and even gives it a 35-second duration, with the exception of the Blood of the Father buff. If the buff goes out, you can stop the AoE pulse damage by CCing her, and this includes Cheap Shot, Kidney Shot, and Blind. But if those CCs break, or whenever they fall off, that damage is going to start back up again until the buff falls off. Jarl Velbrand is a caster in this fight. He's the only one with an interruptible cast, and he has 2 of them. Just a Shadow Bolt that he spams throughout the majority of the fight. Faljar's Empowerment is a 20-second cast called Ancestral Knowledge, which throws up an Absorb Shield on him that you need to break via damage. So when that comes out, don't swap over to single target rotation or anything like that. Just keep throwing Fan of Knives out, keep your Garrote up, keep your Ruptures up, copy those with your Crimson Tempest, and then dump your combo points with Envenom. You'll have plenty of time to break that shield, and if you don't for whatever reason, you can use Cloak of Shadows to immune yourself. Velbrand actually has a second big move that he does, and that's Blade Storm. He'll shout a little warning, wind up, and then start spinning. The entire room will get covered in this wind effect that will pull you into the Blade Storm. It's very easy to run against, just don't be in that kill area when he starts spinning. You can disrupt the windup of Blade Storm with Kidney Shot. Just like a player-controlled warrior though, once he's Blade Storming, you're not going to be able to stop it. That first Blade Storm you see will overlap with Sigryn's Blood of the Father cast, her second one. And so if you choose to cheap shot it, you want to make sure you have that blind ready for Sigryn. There is one final mechanic in this fight, and that is the Valkyries that get summoned on the left, right, front, or back of the room. And they will spawn in a line, they'll have one open spot in that line, and then they reverse red rover you. If you're not in that safe area, you're going to get one shot. If you think you're not going to get to that safe spot in time, you can immune it with Cloak of Shadows. Generally holding on to sprint for the Valkyrie lines is the way to go. Important to keep in mind that all of the empowerments, the runes on the ground, and the Valkyries do have different timers, and some of those timers are variable or predetermined at inconsistent times. So sometimes you'll be stamping out runes and get a Valkyrie line and not be able to get that third rune until after you let them pass. There's also what I would consider the easy mode way of using your CC in this fight, and that's using target exact macros for your kick, since you're only going to kick Faljar. You're blind and only using it on Sigryn. You can't use blind on anything else anyway. And then cheap shot on Jarl Velbrand. I have all of those macros pasted in the description below just under the talents. You could also do 2 different target exact macros for kidney shot so that you can use it for Velbrand, and then when it's still available for Blood of the Father, use it on Sigryn, and then when you get into a situation where you don't have it back up for Velbrand, you can just tank most of the hits with evasion and then kite him out for the rest of it. And before we get started, just a little bit of a word on how we're going to be doing damage. If you're a seasoned rogue, you might not need this information, but I'm not, and I spent a little bit of time catching myself back up on this, and it might help somebody else who's doing this challenge. So you're keeping Garrote up, you're keeping Rupture up, you're spreading that with Crimson Tempest, and as long as you have Rupture up with like 10 seconds or more, you're just going to be dumping all of your combo points with Envenom. And as a general practice, if you're at 6 or even 5 combo points, you can just dump your points and then just start building it up for your next finisher. On the pole, you're going to be able to use Improved Garrote because you'll be in stealth, and then you can do that again with Vanish, but you want to make sure you line that up with Death Mark, which is every 2 minutes as well. So you're basically going to be sitting on your first Vanish. Don't forget to double tap Garrote on the pole, and when you're using it out of Vanish, so you can get that full 150% pandemic duration. And then you're just using Kingsbane on the 1 minute cooldown, so you'll get 1 solo use of it in between your Vanish Death Mark combo. Alright, we're going to run in, Garrote, kick, Garrote, stack everything up on Velbrand. And Rupture, we spread, then we Death Mark, Kingsbane. Now we're just spamming Banner Knives and Envenom. We got our first green puddle and knockback coming up. Berserker Rage coming up real soon. Here we go. Maybe save the combo points. We're gonna tank out with Evasion to start. We probably actually won't even stun this. We got runes coming up. Only 2 runes, that's fine. I forgot to spread. There we go. Second set of runes and Blood of the Father coming up. We'll just kick just to bring a caster in. We'll stun Sigryn there. We'll re-rupture, Garrote, and spread. We got a Kingsbane too. Yikes. We got Valkyries coming up. Go ahead and re-dot. We'll spread again. Ancestral Knowledge. We'll just have all of this cleave damage feeding into that shield. We can break whenever we want. We'll break now, we'll respread. We have Bladestorm coming up. We'll just go ahead and stun this with Kidney. Where's my Bladestorm? Yeah, we got it. If you're late, you don't get the stun off. Now we have Blind for Sigryn. We respread because her dots fell off. Or get knocked off, rather. Then we can cool down. We got a re-Garrote with the improved Garrote. Alright, we spread. Damage is just so good. You don't have to be particularly good at the spec. Just spread your Garrote. Just spread your Garrote and Rupture, and you'll be good to go. Boom. But yeah, that's it for Assassination Rogue. Make sure to check out the playlist if you're looking for any other DPS challenge or tank or healer. That means we now have 1 for every class, multiple for every instance, and 14 or 15 total now. We still have a few recommendations to go, so let me know in the comments what spec you want to see next. Be sure to sub to the channel and enable notifications so you can catch those videos when they come out. Make sure to like this video to help it on YouTube. You can support us a little bit further by checking out channel memberships by hitting the join button below. Thanks to all the members and super chatters, you guys are great. But of course, I'm just happy you guys are watching and enjoying the videos. So thanks for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.